In 1924, a baby girl was left on someone's front porch. She was only left with 2 items, a gold ring and a note that said her name was Della. I'm going to be sharing with you today in my client's story how we solved a 100-year mystery using an AncestryDNA test. My name is Tara Crawford. I'm a volunteer search angel here at DNAngels. Now, our client's name is Linda. She came to us with a bit of a mystery. The only thing she knew was that her mother had been found on somebody's front porch. She did not know if she was adopted out as a toddler or an infant or a brand new baby. They had no idea. The only information that they had was that she was found on someone's front porch in California. So what I did is I sorted groups, but this time we're not looking for birth parents. We're actually going to do a grandparent search. So I need to identify 2 sets of maternal great-grandparents for Linda. Lucky for her, she had some great matches. We had a great amount of second and third cousins, even some possible first cousins once removed, just great matches. The 2 groups sorted very nicely. There were no challenges there. I quickly was able to identify 2 sets of great-grandparents for Linda. Now, the first set took me to a couple named Sam and Anna. They are from Salt Lake City, deep roots in Salt Lake. I mean, this family has been there since the early 1800s. Typically, when we have families that are based out of Salt Lake, they tend to be Mormon, which is fantastic because they do have amazing family tree records. So because of the records, I was able to identify all the children of Sam and Anna. They did have 10 children, but lucky for us, only 4 of them would have been of age to have had a child or fathered a child in 1924. So I just took notes. Our 4 candidates from this side of the family is Harold, James, Harriet, and Leroy. So we've got 4 kids. We know that one of them is probably Linda's grandparents. Once I identified her second set of great-grandparents, again, this family also lived in Salt Lake City. Their name was Arthur and Elizabeth. They had 5 children, 3 boys and 2 girls. Marge, Elizabeth, Erwin, Alan, and David. So these are our candidates. I don't know how I can connect them to Sam and Anna, but I'm gonna try. So the first thing I did was look to see if there were any marriages between Sam and Anna's children and Arthur and Elizabeth. I did not find any. Also, did any of their children go on to live in California? At this time of the search, I couldn't find anything linking any of these children to California. They were just living right there in Salt Lake City, Utah. So what I did next is I had the names, but I figured since this was 1924 and a baby was found on someone's front porch, maybe there's gonna be some headlines about this story. The newspapers would have covered it for sure. So I went on to newspapers.com. I just did a search, abandoned baby. I went to the county that I knew this baby was found and typed in the year. I hit some serious gold here. There were tons and tons of newspaper articles about this baby being left on a doorstep. Many seek baby left by mother is one of the newspapers. So this baby was very popular, and I just want to read to you how they described her. They described her as the little auburn-haired, pink and white mite, not yet 2 months old. So word on the street, there's a baby abandoned. Everybody wants to adopt her. They had 60 families come forward to try to adopt this baby. But there was a law. There was a law in place that any abandoned baby would not be up for adoption or available to adopt until after 1 year of abandonment. So even though she's left behind and 60 families want to adopt her, that's going to go on hold. They're going to give the mother 1 year to come forward and claim her child. So while we're waiting, this baby is placed in the hands of the county nurse. The county nurse, Mrs. Parker, she is her current caretaker because they actually left this baby to the county. So she became ward of the county. So the county nurse is caring for her instead of putting her in a children's home at the time. After about 4 months, they end up giving this baby Della, a home with the lawyer of the town, and they felt that she was safe with the lawyer because he would know the laws. He knew that she could not be adopted until she had been abandoned for 1 year. Now, the county and this county nurse really took this search into their hands. They want to identify this birth mother. So what they did is they put note out to all of the surrounding cities who had a baby that was born in April with the name Della. You all need to do a birth certificate search in your towns. And they did. And they got a hit. They found that there was a baby Della born in April 1924 to a Harriet and her husband, William. Guess who delivered the baby of Harriet and William? Nurse Parker. Nurse Parker assisted in the birth of that baby. To her knowledge, this couple was legally married. And now that they had a name, the buzz began to create people having memories of their interactions with Harriet. So her nurse attendant remembered having a conversation with Harriet. Harriet wanted to go back to Salt Lake, where she was from, but her attending nurse advised against it. And the reason she advised against it is because she told her that basically the change in the severe climate and the high altitude would kill your baby. It is not safe to travel with a newborn baby. So this is 1924, right? This is something that they believed. If you go into high altitudes with a brand new baby, it will die. So Harriet left the hospital that day with her baby. Nothing had been brought up or no conversation. It's just she left with the baby. A couple weeks pass and Harriet comes back to this town in California with an announcement. Her baby had died in Salt Lake City. So all of the stories are coming together, right? The nurse Parker was there for the delivery. The nurse attendant remembers having a conversation and advising her against travel. Harriet leaves the hospital, comes back weeks later and says her baby died in Salt Lake. Meanwhile, there's a baby that's been found on someone's doorstep. So the pieces have been put together. The county did their job. They wrote a story. They put her name in the newspaper. So Harriet received a summon from the county. This county nurse wants to speak with her. She arrives. She comes and she's sent to some type of probation office. This is based off of the newspaper. And she arrives with a male companion that she introduces as her brother. They have conversation with her. She is asked to return to now meet with the lawyer who is caring for baby Della and the county nurse, Nurse Parker. The week goes by. Harriet does not show up for this meeting. So based off of this behavior, they knew they had found her. They found her biological mother, but she didn't return to claim her. The baby ended up being adopted by that lawyer who then became the judge who they say destroyed all of her adoption records. So there were no stories. The family had no idea about these newspaper articles. They had no idea that Della was her birth name. They had no idea of this. So Harriet has left the scene, has never returned to pick up baby Della. Now, she was listed as being married to William. I built out William's tree. I found no DNA connections to his family at all. Therefore, that proves her husband, William, at the time was not baby Della's father. They were married in 1923. I did find a record for that. However, he is not the baby's father. Since I know that Della's father must be a son to Arthur and Elizabeth, I go back and I review the DNA matches. We get very lucky because their son Erwin has a grandchild that has tested. Their son David also has a grandchild that has tested. But based on the shared amount of DNA, it is most likely that Erwin is baby Della's biological father. Now, the connection between Harriet and Erwin, I don't know, and we'll probably never know. But he was based in Salt Lake City as well. That's the only information that we could find that they have in common, is that they both were in Salt Lake City at the right time. What their personal reaction or relationship was to each other, that we'll never know. So Harriet, based on a family story that I had found typed up about her online, she was married at the age of 16 for 3 years. It didn't work out. That's William, right? Her first husband. It didn't work out. She was very young. She ended up moving to Illinois, where she lived most of her life. She did become married once again, and she was married to her second husband for the rest of her life. They did have a child together who ended up passing away before Harriet, a couple years before. But Harriet lived a long 77 years, never turning back to that baby Della, never sharing the story of baby Della. So I want to ask you guys, why do you think Harriet left Della? Why didn't she come back with such a sweet baby? She cared about her. She wrote her name and left it with her when she left her on that California doorstep in the summer of 1924. Go ahead and share your thoughts with us in the comments. Let's leave a pink heart for that cute little baby girl. This is how we solve this 100-year mystery. It's amazing what can be done. If you have your own personal DNA mystery, please go to our website at DNAngels.org and just reach out to us and let us help you solve your stories.